But I mean, I was trying to think about. There are sort of threads though. I mean, ostensibly, Charmaine is not much of a thread to Cordelia or to
Yeah,
Paige or to,
yeah,
or to your Black Widow character, I suspect. And yet, and Amy, but they are all both trapped within a system. There's a feeling of expectation on them to do a
yeah.
certain thing, but also managing to not only exceed or subvert those expectations. They sort of come out on top. There's a hefty good dose of fuck you in everything that you do, which I really like.
Thank you. I like that. Yeah, I
Do
do.
you
I
look
also
for that in a
think that,
script though? Do you
yeah,
say I want?
definitely.
Yeah.
And it's not that I send everybody like my team are bloody awesome, and I would not be where I am right now without them. I have an amazing team that
Team now.
I have a team. Well, I've always had a team. Every actor has a team.
Do they?
Yeah, they just don't really talk about it that much.
I love the fact you're open about your team. Okay, so your team.
Yeah, my team, my agents, the people that love me and like want to work with me. Obviously, everybody has an agent, maybe in America or in England or both, or a manager, and they've been just a part of finding cool material, as much as I mean, probably more so than I have. So, I definitely have an amazing group of very talented voices bringing interesting scripts to me.
So, what would be your overriding brief then? You say, because presumably they act as like a sort of basking shark. They're sort of filtering. There'll be a
Yeah,
lot of stuff that gets stuck in their teeth that they won't
yeah.
necessarily want to pass on.
Yeah, and also, I think I mean, my peeps are very interested in finding quirky little weird things, not necessarily always the big da 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 stuff. And so,
The
I mean,
Beethoven
everybody,
biopic.
everybody got that when I, everybody understood what I was talking about just then. And so things like, Lady Macbeth when I was 19
Yeah.
was just like, I think going on from that in my career was really awesome to have that at the beginning, because that is exactly what I want to be doing. And so, yeah, she's certainly naughty,
They
and I
find
love
sort
certain
of
characters.
they find liberation in being trapped. Actually, the sort of
Yeah,
which is really a sort of an odd but brilliant thing to have to play. I imagine.
yeah.
And from Lady Macbeth, you go into the Marvel universe.
Well, quite some years later.
5 years later.
Yeah.
And people who are sniffy about Marvel, I don't get.
Because they're brilliant popcorn eating films that make you feel every second of the way.
All I want to do is watch things like Captain America, Winter Soldier on a
Yeah.
loop,
On a
cry
loop.
and eat, and then cry about how much I've eaten, and then cry again, and then
Yeah. And
laugh, and
then,
then want to work out. And then, I might glance at one of those, workout videos where they say, you have the body of Black Widow, and then
yeah.
cry a bit
Do you?
more.
I always then imagine myself. So one of my really, I mean, really shouldn't, but whenever I've watched a massive superhero film, I mean, Star Wars even counts as well. I will then do a shopping spree of like awesome workout gear that will never look good on me.
Based
But
on the
because
character.
but because I've now been like watching all of these amazing able bodies flying around the screen, I'm then like, that's it. I'm going to be one of them in the gym.
I remember watching, I can't remember which Daniel Craig Bond it was the opening of, but it was, I think, probably the second one, maybe Quantum of Solace or something. It's a parkour sequence.
Oh yes,
All I wanted to do was
yes,
parkour.
parkour.
I can't even jump up to answer the door without the real genuine risk of my pelvic floor collapsing. So the idea that I'm going to be sort of, and I once for work, I ended up having a lesson.
Yeah.
And this very intense Frenchman said, just imagine that the wall is not there. So I just ran towards the wall and went into the wall and nearly broke both of my knees. It was like, that doesn't work, mate. But in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm
It's so much fun.
all right. Tell me, you must have had to follow some hellish workout
Yes,
routine.
I did.
Tell me
I did.
everything. I'm obsessed with it.
So the coolest thing. So I've done two physical films, obviously Fighting with My Family and
Yeah.
Black Widow. And the coolest thing about both of them is at no point were either of them worried about how good I looked. It was just about how strong can you be, especially
Yeah.
with Fighting with My Family. It was like how you've got to be able to carry bodies. That's literally what wrestling is.
Yep.
And then obviously with Marvel, it was the coolest thing about our film was that it it was all orientated on land, so they could do all these epic, amazing fight sequences, and they didn't have to worry about gravity, I suppose. So all of the stunt guys were like, yeah, we can basically have like a Bourne Identity film, but two women, which was awesome. So cool. So the moment I got the job, I was in the warehouse just kind of hanging out.
In the warehouse?
Yeah.
That sounds really sinister. I was just in the abattoir working out. It's like,
I was just in the warehouse.
So is the warehouse like a specific centre for...
Yeah, so the warehouse, I mean, it's not actually called the warehouse. It just is a warehouse. It's at Pinewood Studios, and that's where we shot the film last summer, well, some of it anyway. And they just had this, like one of those massive studios full of all these stunt contraptions and fake guns and knives and like pulley systems. And then all these awesome, amazing people just hanging out in there every day fighting each other. Honestly, that was my heaven.
I love martial arts movies. It calms me down.
Yeah.
It really does. As a child, when I was really wee, I used to play a game called Tekken. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it was basically a sort of martial arts fighting game. So on a crappy, like really early sort of days sort of console, and you could sort of high kick, and then boot them in the knackers and then punch them in the face. And it's so relaxing.
It was bliss. Yeah, especially when you get it right.
Oh, well, you could get extra points for sort of triple manoeuvres.
Oh.
And each character would have like a thing. It's so never-endingly old school what I'm describing. And it was all about, there was only about sort of 7 pixels to the screen. You know, it was really... early. But
did it take a while for the leg to get up in the air? Would it be like bloop 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 bloop?
like the old sort of tennis
like
game.
it kind of moved really slowly.
The same speed as my real leg actually would make that maneuver. Yeah, a roundhouse kick, you'd have to refresh it about 3 times.
Yeah. Turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on.
I sort of grew up watching Jackie Chan and then Van Damme. When I graduated, me and my mate Nick, we used to just sit and watch. All we did was watch Van Damme, and you'd wait for that moment. I mean, I couldn't tell you any of the plots, but you'd wait for the moment when he just. I remember there's one incredible one where basically someone floods his house and then puts an electrical current through the water, and he basically does box splits on a kitchen unit.
So exciting. I think that's also why I liked. When I was a kid, I loved watching the Drew Barrymore Charlie's Angels. Partly because they did totally random fighting in the most like unexpected times. And I just always thought that was hilarious because I just breaking out into a kick when it really only needed a conversation was the best part of the film.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in there. It's like, I'd love to discuss the niceties of this situation, but maybe just need to sort of rabbit punch you in the kidneys.
And then Cameron Diaz just like a pah! When she could have just asked.
But I think probably at the time it was so new that women were expressing themselves physically on screen in that way. And so they were probably just having the time of their lives.
Well, they look like it. They look like they're having a ball every single film.
I mean, how much, in terms of like the way they schedule the day in the warehouse, it's like... Is it like optional, or is it like, right, you need to turn up at 9 and then we're going to do body conditioning, then weights, then we'll do a bit of Wing Chun? How does it work?
So I have my own trainer. I've had him since fighting with my family. He's called James Shields. So he kind of sorted me out fitness-wise. And then whenever I would go to the warehouse, I would just be around all of these amazing stunt legends and also just like amazing fighters. And I mean, I'm sure if I really wanted to, I wouldn't have to go. But for me, I love that stuff. Also, it's my first Marvel film. I kind of want to get in it. And my whole character is about being an amazing fighter. So to me, it was like a no-brainer that I would spend as much time with these people as possible. But yeah, from morning, it would be like from 9 until... Well, if I do like kickboxing for 2 hours with this amazing guy called Troy.
Of course he's called Troy.
Yeah,
if not
he's
Chad.
called Troy.
Yeah.
And he was in 300. He was one of the like mega muscle men that, did all the fighting. So he's amazing. And then I would do movement because funnily enough, even though you think you move well, no one moves well until you've had a stunt person look at you and say, What are you doing? Oh, I'm running. That's not running.